Oh my god.
I'm not your friend.
Oh my god.
Alive.
Okay.
Behave. Damn. All right. Oof. Technical difficulties. Oh yeah, technical difficulties. This Junie. All right. Let me get Richard back on. Richard is unable to join. Accept. Okay. Are you seeing me now?
I can see you now.
Okay, awesome. We had some technical difficulties there, but we are back. Actually, staying cool. Richard is now, he's buffering. Forces against us today. Forces against us today. Okay, Richard left. All right, we're trying to get everybody back on. Some technical difficulties. First with myself and then with Richard. So let's just wait for him to come back so that we could resume our conversation. All right. Not seeing him here. Hold on. Accept. All right, I just sent a request to him. Hopefully he, I'm wondering if his phone died or something. Hopefully not. All right, let me invite him again. All right, so yeah, we're just waiting for Richard to jump back on. Technical difficulties. What happened there?
I haven't. So the thing is, I am seeing you at one point, and then your screen is going blank, and
Okay.
I'm not seeing myself at one point, and then I keep getting cut out of the live. I don't know why.
Oh, are you seeing me now?
Not seeing you, so I'm back to talking to myself.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Oh, we
and
could
I
do.
feel like there's like people are now trying to join back in as
Yeah.
well.
Um, I mean, before we start back, if you want to jump out and jump back in to see if you could see me, you could do that now.
Okay, so you stay on, and I'll come back in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, so the technical difficulties with IG Live today. We're just trying to figure it out, so that we could all have a good experience throughout the interview. In the meantime, um, So we were just basically talking about Richard's journey into being like a creative and what sparked that energy and passion for fashion. See that rhyme? Um, so we'll have to re-ask him the question when he comes on, so that especially because the call dropped. All right,
Yay!
great.
Hi.
So you're seeing me. Hello. Awesome.
So apparently, I can't send you a request.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
Oh
know,
well.
you know.
This is just life happening. This is
Yeah,
life. Yeah, things
this is life.
happen.
So we could jump right back into it. I will have you re-answer the last question that we asked, which was,
Uh-huh.
how did you get on this creative journey? What sparked that interest into just being a creative?
So, like I was saying, because similar to Jonathan, I come from a family of predominantly girls. I have seven beautiful sisters. And so I spent a lot of time watching fashion with my sisters. We used to watch the Miss Universe pageant and the Miss World pageant every year. That was a family tradition to
Right,
watch the pageant. We would sit down in the house, all of us, and just comment on who we think is going to win the pageant. I guess that started my love for fashion and pageantry and stuff like that. And so, being a sportsman at that time, because my father wanted me to be an Olympian, I would go to the stadium. I would be, getting ready for training. I would be with a piece of paper and I would be sketching. Even when I was going to work, I used to be at work with napkins, just like drawing on it and stuff like that. And my friends and coworkers were like, Richard, you should pursue this. And we think you have the creative ability to get into this. And for a
yeah,
very long time, I didn't because, again, I wanted to make my father proud.
right,
And I wanted to continue pursuing track and field because, that made him feel good about, his son being an Olympian, that kind of thing. Um, until I decided, you know what? I'm going to do it for me. And I started as the personal assistant for a top designer in Trinidad and Tobago. I could call her name, Christian, if you're seeing this. Hi, Christian. Yeah, I started as her personal assistant. I think I worked with her for at least 3 to 4 years.
right.
And she got me really involved in the fashion industry. And from there, I started a diploma at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Caribbean Academy of Fashion Design. Didn't complete it, unfortunately. But since then to now, I have been, involved in fashion because of that.
Okay, beautiful. So is there a reason why you did not finish the program if you're able to share? Like what came in the way of you
Oh,
completing?
full disclosure. These things are not cheap. These things are not cheap. And so it was a matter of, at the time, focusing on my brand itself, which is the Richard Noel brand, school, and my life.
Right.
So it's like trying to balance all of that with the finances.
Yeah.
And then at that time, I was just a personal assistant. The salary was good, but there was other things I have to do. And
Okay.
so I made an executive decision to just focus on my brand
Mm-hmm.
and continue working. And we can do the school down the road sometime.
So were you ever able to pick back up? Have you since picked back up doing the school, or
I
that's
actually
something
did.
still on
I
the
actually
to-do
did start it again
Yeah.
and exited again for the same reason. I think I oftentimes underestimate because I am this kind of person. If I get this inclination to do something,
Yeah.
I am going to do it. Come what may, I am going to do it. And so
Right.
fashion was that for me. I wanted to go to CAFD, and so I
Mm-hmm.
applied. I got in, and that was a win for me. Um, Being in the process, however, it is a bit of an expense,
Right.
because when I entered the first time, we had fabrics and stuff that was provided by the school. So
Right.
muslin, our materials, cotton paper and stuff like that we got from
Yeah.
the university. When I entered the second time, that changed. Wasn't getting nothing.
Oh, okay, okay.
And you have to kind of purchase everything. We will be getting assignments today for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Kind of have to get stuff and things like that. So it was just becoming a bit of an expense.
Right.
And at the time, I was more focused on building my brand rather
Yeah.
than trying to get a degree,
Okay, okay. That's understandable, as an
Yeah.
artist, you can't do
Yeah.
everything. You can't do everything, and you have to pick and
Um,
choose which
But
stuff mean the most.
anybody on the live who like want to send me back and want to finance that, sure, just send.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So that brings us to the next question, which is,
Uh-huh.
why did you join the Creative Social Enterprise Fellowship with Eastyard? Why did you feel like this was something that you needed when you saw the flyer posted? Tell us about that whole process.
Well, so again, I am a kind of person that loves to do things for growth and development. I think that change is necessary, change is
Yeah,
important. And so I saw this as another opportunity for me to grow and develop myself as an entrepreneur. At
yeah,
that time, I had entered the Mr. Trinidad and Tobago pageant. So I wasn't sure. I had entered two things at the same time, and I wasn't sure which one I was going to get into. I got
right.
into the both. But it's just that need for development, that need for growth. I decided to enter because for a long time I didn't know how to find one name for everything that I do.
Yeah,
And when I saw the program Creative Social Entrepreneur, I was like, this is me because I'm creative. I want to
yeah.
make a difference in society and I am an entrepreneur. So let's put that together and let's see how it works. And thus far, it has been a great experience. I have learned a lot. I can't wait to get through the process to see how best we can bring my project for social change to life.
All right. But I mean, we've been 2 months into the program. It's been two
Mhm.
months, a little over 2 months.
Yeah.
What impact has the program, has the fellowship made on your life thus far? What is the impact with your business and your social enterprise?
I think for the most part, it has allowed me to use fashion for change.
Yeah.
And that, I think that is essential as a creative entrepreneur for myself, being
Yeah.
able to use my craft to sort of inspire change in a sense. I think
Mhm.
that is the most important takeaway from this experience.
Right.
Um, in the pageant, I started my CSI, which is Beyond Blue,
Hmm.
and it started from the narrative of blues for boys, pink is for girls. As a fashion designer, that's a color.
Yeah.
It's a simple color. And so I wanted to find a way to create a product to share that message of
Hmm.
gender equality
Right.
without it being so storytelling or so pen and paper, that kind of thing. I wanted to be
Yeah.
creative. I wanted to be something that you can wear, something that you can put on, and still carry the message of, okay, we're standing up for something while it's being fashionable.
Right, that's cool. And so, do you see this as something that, could be, are you going to do it on a small scale, a more focused area? Because I know you're from Valencia
Yeah.
and Trinidad is a big place. So,
Yes.
what are some of the ideas do you have for
So in
this
terms
campaign?
So in terms of the garment itself, which I am going to create for this initiative, this
Yeah,
will be sold in Posh Collections in Grand Bazaar. That's
right.
where I have most of my pieces already.
Mm-hmm.
So the garments are going to be sold there. Aside from that, outside of fashion, I
Mm-hmm.
am working on developing the Richard Noel Muse Initiative, which is about empowering young people similar like myself to express themselves creativity, whether it be fashion, music, art, drama, anything as a creative, and you want to find a space where you can learn and meet people who share similar stories and stuff
Yeah,
like that. This is what the Rich and Noel News is about, initiative. And so that's another side of it. So there's
right.
fashion, and then there's modeling and all of that jazz.
No, you mentioned about four brands already. Yeah,
Yeah.
right? I made notes here that you did debut at Red Runway in 2014, and you mentioned making style, right?
Uh-huh.
Can you tell us a little bit about those two experiences?
So Red Runway 2014, honestly, when I look back at those designs, I feel like, Richard, what were you doing? What were you thinking? Why did you do that? Yeah, Red Runway 2014 was me being rebellious in a sense. I would have been, as I said, an athlete. And at
Right.
that time, I wanted to do fashion. And I saw the ad to be in Red Runway. And I was like, okay, this is my opportunity to do fashion. I worked and I saved to buy my machine. Now, mind you, I couldn't even sew at that point in time.
Oh Lord.
I
Oh
just
Lord.
know I want to do fashion. I went and buy a sewing machine. I don't know the first thing about operating a sewing machine. And I started to sketch. I put down all
Mm-hmm.
my ideas on paper. Every minute, every day, I am sketching. And
Yeah.
I found a seamstress who constructed my pieces to me because at that time I couldn't sew
Right.
with a machine that I purchased. And she developed the collection for me, and I
Mm-hmm.
debuted it at Ren Runway. And it honestly received a lot of positive feedback. I got messages the day after asking for pieces. I think at that time, some of the Miss Tobago delegates for different pageants were asking me to sponsor different pieces for them to travel
Right.
abroad.
Like you
And I
needed
was
sponsorship at
surprised.
the time. How they
Yeah,
go
I was so
keep going?
surprised because at
Yeah.
that time it was just like me doing it for doing its sake,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to see the response that I got, I felt like this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so
Yeah.
from that, I started working with Christian, like I said, and she was one of the judges for the casting of Making Style, which
Mm-hmm.
is like a fashion workshop in collaboration with Coco Velvet,
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Nathan. And so in that, we had to create a mini collection. And my collection got the Most Outstanding Participants Award.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I didn't win the competition, but I got that award, and that
Yeah.
recognition from that kind of propelled me to get more involved in the fashion industry. And from
Okay.
there, I started to do some work with Christopher, and he was styling West Mall fashion shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to let you know and let everybody listening know that you are calling names of people. I have no idea who they are.
Oh,
Because
I
obviously,
just trained out there. I'm so sorry.
well, I am not in the fashion world, right? I'm not in the fashion
Yeah.
world, or design or anything like that. I might know a Peter Elias or what's this other lady's name? I can't even remember her name. Maybe Anya Youngchi because she was
And
on
yeah,
this show.
okay. Yeah.
Um, but I don't know a lot of fashion designer. The guy who owns the cloth, I know him.
That
Um,
I think that's Robert Young, I believe.
Robert,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I know Robert, and just a few people who,
That's okay. That's
the
fine. That's
creative
fine.
industry in Trinidad and Tobago is small. So sometimes there's an intersection where a lot of our art has to cross paths, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
But if not for those intersections, I don't think I would know a lot of these
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
So I think just hearing you talk and I'm pretty sure a lot of it's the same thing with gaming with Jordan. Like if you're
Yeah.
not in that industry, it's gonna be difficult for you to know what's going on or what's new. And one thing I don't think I'm seeing a lot of is like a lot of marketing of like what's happening in the in the
I,
film industry throughout the
I was
Caribbean.
having that conversation with someone last night. I feel like another lot is being done to market the creative industry.
Yeah,
And we're so fixated on carnival and the culture and doing
yeah,
things for that. We have all kind of events for musicians and people within the carnival industry.
yeah,
But we're not addressing the needs of persons within the creative industry and the creative
yeah,
sector because we have a lot to offer. We
yeah.
do have a
I
lot to
agree.
offer, not just fashion designers and artists like yourself, but artisans, people who make jewelry,
Yeah,
hairstylists, makeup artists, photographers.
but I
Where
mean
is
that's the
industry for
job.
us?
That's our job, eh? Like that's not the government job or that's not whoever's job. Like we have to be better at marketing ourselves for
Mhm.
not just for people in the community to see, but for the world to see.
Yes.
So that was just a thought. Sorry, that's just a thought
No,
that
that's
crossed
fine.
my mind.
That's fine. And then spaces like East Yard allows us to have platforms like this, which can get us to talk about our craft a lot more. And
Correct.
then people who are on your life now can go and look to see who Christian Buku is. If all you don't know who she is,
Yeah.
take some time now to find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people making notes so they could go do their little checks
Yeah.
after. As
Yes.
you mentioned, the carnival industry. What I want to ask is, what does being Caribbean mean to you, and how does that identity filter into your fashion design?
I think being Caribbean means we have a level of freedom in Trinidad and Tobago. And our island is just like a very beautiful space. I mean, I know there's a lot of ills in our country. We're not gonna, not acknowledge that. But
Yeah.
we live in a very, very beautiful tropical island. And
Yeah.
as someone who loves nature and loves being outdoors and just meeting people, like you ever just travel to South? When you get into South and you meet South people, it's like the most friendliest people. You would think that in
Yep.
another
It
country.
feels like a different country.
Yeah, because somebody who comes from Port Spain or from me who comes from the bush in Valencia, you would think that when you go to South, the atmosphere, the people, it's almost
Yeah.
like, okay, am I still in Trinidad?
Yeah.
And that just goes to show, saying that just goes to show how diverse and how we are as a people. And I think that is why I celebrate being Caribbean. Yeah.
Yeah.
The question was, how do I use it
How
in
does
my
that filter into your designs?
look? I think that's the vibrancy of us as a people
Yeah.
is what I tend to use in my design. I love prints, I love color. I think Carnival is the ideal space to showcase who we are as a people.
Hmm.
And in that you see a lot of different colorful costumes. You see people that you wouldn't see throughout the year. You
Yeah.
see them at Carnival, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
what what does being a fashion designer exactly entail? Because I feel like I was looking at your bio and like honestly like the general layman don't really know what that is. What is a fashion designer?
So a fashion designer is someone who takes a concept, say from concept to creation, right?
Right,
So let me not show you that. That's something I'm working on. I have some sketches here. So I can show you one.
right. Only
Yeah.
we get in sneak
There you're
peeks of
getting some sneak
things.
peek. I was going to
Yeah,
show this now, but as your new collection coming, so I can't show that. So, for example, I'm using my front camera, so it's not going to be right. So
yeah,
just an idea, right? So this is a sketch, an illustration, whatever you want to call it. Let's just say you're my client. I
yeah,
represent this idea to you.
yeah.
We can then decide whatever fabric we want to use. Sorry.
Hmm.
I would purchase the fabric. I would go source the fabric, things like that. I would start
Right.
construction. Oftentimes, I would probably go to my pattern drafter or someone to assist me with the pattern per se,
Yeah,
and then construction begin. I make it for fitting. So it's a holistic experience.
right.
It's not just similar to taking your fabric and saying, "Hey, make this for me."
Yeah,
I think with
yeah.
this experience, it's more personal. You got, yes, Danae, I see you. You can have this if you want it. Yeah. But again, it's definitely a more personal experience. You get to be
Yeah,
one on one. I get to know your likes and dislikes.
yeah.
And I think it's a more intimate experience, fashion designing, than taking it to a seamstress or having it manufactured
That
in
and
a
that's it,
in a
right?
step.
So
Yeah.
we wanna make the distinction for everybody listening, the differences between a seamstress and a fashion designer.
I
Because the
I know Danae,
seamstress,
Danae is on this live because she wants to see which garments I'm pulling out.
I know a seamstress, you have an idea.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
I
It's
mean, I'm not
more like
discrediting seamstresses and tailors. We
yeah,
need them. We
yeah, for
need
sure.
them,
For sure.
but fashion designing, it takes on a whole different board, ballpark
Okay.
for doing
I mean,
how I
yeah,
do that.
you know what I think what stands out for me is so waiting every year to see the Met Gala looks
Oh,
because it really shows you um what fashion design is on a more commercial level, of course, with these very well-known designers kind of dressing these these celebrities, but like it's just an example of how crazy that thing could get, you know? Real crazy, crazy
I
things.
remembered when I showed my last collection in 2024 in Tobago, I didn't sleep for like 4 days. I did not sleep. Let me just say I did not sleep. I got like 2 hours sleep every day because it was kind of um me preparing additional pieces
Right.
for the collection, and that fashion show was done in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so that's just going to show you of the chaos that is involved. And
yeah,
then it's a 5 minute show, and everybody go home, and
yeah.
you bags on their eye, you're tired, you're sweating.
What would be the benefit of a fashion designer having a fashion show?
I think the benefit is one to showcase their creative talent,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's to also show the patrons at the event some of the pieces that they can purchase,
Yeah.
or they can use in their wardrobe, and different things. So I
Okay.
think putting on your own show, there are a lot of benefits. But we take fashion shows in Trinidad and Tobago as entertainment.
Right.
And I think it's high time we step away from that narrative. These are
Yeah.
professionals, these are businesses.
Yeah.
People come and they watch it, they clap, 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 and then they go home, and then that's it.
Well, it's like an expo, right? It's like an
Yeah,
expo of what you could do, but also what you have to offer and
correct,
what's on
correct,
sale,
correct.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it has to be marketed as such. It's not just entertainment, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Um,
That tagline there. I'm gonna take that. I'll quote you for it. It's not just entertainment,
yeah, we trying to make money. This money
right?
we are trying to make
You
money,
know,
okay? We are
because
trying
we
not
have
to
to
starve.
spend money. We have
Yeah,
to spend money, and to put on a fashion show is
yeah,
not cheap and it's not easy.
yeah.
And oftentimes we tend to run from collaborations because the first thing we
Mm-hmm.
start is how much money I getting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are invited to a fashion show or you have to support a fashion show, please do, because it's not easy to put on these kind of projects.
So let's talk about collaboration a little bit, right? You are a fashion designer, it's just you, but this is a field that requires collaboration. You're not
Hmm.
gonna stitch, you're not gonna weave the cloth all on your own. You have to source the cloth, the fabrics. Um, it might have a stitch you don't know. I don't know if you're sewing 100 yet. You said when you started
Hmm.
you didn't know how
Well,
to
I can
sew.
sew now. I can sew now.
You're sewing your
So
whole
I do
collection
my
by
own
yourself now?
construction. Yeah, I do sew most of my pieces now.
Mhm.
I would only have someone sew for me if I'm really busy. So during the pageant,
Yeah.
I had no time to sew. So
Yeah.
my pieces that I wore and Miss Pinal South wore, we had it constructed
Okay.
from my colleagues because I just didn't have the time to sew.
Okay.
You know.
But yeah, on that note, what does collaboration means to you and how does that play a role in your enterprise?
Similarly to I think collaboration is a necessity, right? I think collaborations fosters partnership and it allows you to grow outside your niche.
Right.
So I think I'm the only fashion designer in this fellowship, and I'm
Yeah.
in a fellowship with artists, graphic designers, coders that I know nothing about, but I am sure that there is some way we can be able to collaborate and
Yeah.
allow the fashion industry to merge with the creative artists industry. I am sure that I could probably design something for one of the games, like a
Yeah.
shirt featured on the game, like things like that. And
Yeah.
you wouldn't get that generally without some form of collaboration or some form of, okay, I see your talent, you see my talent, and
Yeah.
together we're working on something for a bigger thing.
Yeah. For sure. Um, what are some things that you think are fundamental for someone wanting to become a fashion designer? Like maybe name three essential things they should have. It could be characteristics, it could be tools. Um,
And,
think
and that's,
about
and that's
think about 2014 Richard, who abandoned his sporting career to
yeah,
become a fashion
I
designer.
did give up
Yeah,
track and field for
yeah,
fashion,
yeah.
Um, Well, that's an interesting question. And the reason why that is an interesting question, because I believe that people can do anything.
Yeah,
I have this weird thing in my mind that we can do anything we put our minds to. And
yeah,
so there's no template or there's no formula to follow to say, okay, this is how you become a fashion designer. Because my
yeah,
journey and your journeys are two different things. Your way of becoming a fashion designer, because you can become a fashion. I have looked at your Instagram, I've seen your style, you have an eye, and so right? And so you too can become a fashion designer, just about, just understanding the industry. So I think research would be important,
yeah,
and learning about the creative industry. I didn't do that. The 2014 Richard didn't do that. I just wanted
yeah,
to be a designer, and I went and buy a machine, and I throw myself anything. But if you
yeah,
actually see it as a career now in 2025 and you want to pursue it, I would think start with research.
yeah,
Start with the research. AI is available where you can, just ask general questions, and
yeah,
and they would give you the appropriate responses. And
yeah,
talk to people. Talk to people. A lot of times we're afraid to like ask for help.
yeah,
Nothing is wrong with that. Like message a designer, message a photographer, like say, hey, I want
yeah,
a little advice. What do you think about it?
yeah.
And it works. It works.
I agree. I agree. You have to really be bold
Yeah,
about the thing that you want to pursue, you know? You just have to be bold about it. You have to be bold
exactly.
and bold face about it sometimes.
That last part, people just call me boldface. People just say, Richard, you're boldface. Richard, you have too much attitude. Hey, Richard, I sew too and design my own clothes. And thank you, but I sew. See, it's good. I
Yeah.
mean, and sewing, having the skill of sewing is such a great thing. I feel
Yeah.
like we're straying. But I just
No,
read in
no, we're not
somebody's
straight.
comment. Okay. Sewing is
We
such a
here.
great thing because I know some of my creative friends who were just whipping out outfit in like half an hour to go to an
Yeah.
event. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a
Yeah.
skill. That's a skill. And so I think once you tap into that, opportunities are endless. Opportunities are definitely endless. You
So
know?
you all hear that. You all hear that. Be bold face,
Oh,
also do your research,
yeah,
network,
people
reach out.
people would say all kind of thing about you. People would argue about how you cook stew chicken with your own grandmother's recipe. Somebody would tell you that's not how to do it. No, that's how people are. They would tell you that's not how you cook stew chicken after your grandmother taught you that for 50
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it also just comes down to preference, right? Um,
Uh-huh.
the it's just how other people prefer to do things. So,
Thank
I
you.
mean, as
Thank
you said
you.
earlier, there's no one way to start, you know?
Yeah.
Um, what about you and like your fashion, your inspiration? Who are fashion designers you would have looked up to or still look up to?
Oh, I've always wanted to answer this question. Thank you for asking that. So locally, because I have to talk about my local designers now, locally, so if I don't call everybody, or don't come for me after, right? But I do love Christian. And the reason why I love Christian Buku because I think she got me into the creative mindset.
Yeah.
She has a very, very distinct aesthetic, and I think there's a lot of designers in Trinidad and Tobago, some of which you
Mm-hmm.
may not know, but her
Yeah.
aesthetic is very distinct, and I love that about her. Another one I really love, Adrian Foster.
Okay.
Adrian is such a gem, and his aesthetic is so clean and polished, and he knows what he's about, and he does that.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, those two, like I
Right.
really love their work. Regionally, I would say Jay Jolly from Jamaica. Love her
Okay.
work. One of the Mission Catwalk winners. I can't remember. I think he's from Bahamas. Yes, I can't remember his name right now. In terms of international designers, it would have to be Roberto Cavalli, rest his soul. Love
Oh,
his use
wow.
of
Okay.
prints and their stuff. And
Yeah.
of course,
I
this is
think.
recording.
Oh, you stuck a
yeah,
little bit there.
I was saying I would just call us at that name so y'all probably may not know who I'm talking
That's
about.
fine. That's
But
fine.
yeah, any designer that has a very distinct identity,
Right.
I think I gravitate to that because I always tell people I never want to fit in.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like everybody else. I was created to be me, and that is exactly who I'm going to be, and you can't get me to be anybody else. So once a brand has a very distinct look, and you can tell that they have a clean aesthetic, and
Yeah.
and how they pose and everything is just so polished,
Yeah.
I tend to gravitate towards those brands in particular.
And are there any fashion designers who you would akin your you could compare your own aesthetic and design to?
I don't like the word comparison.
No, well, think about it like this, right? Like when I
um,
see this artist, I
locally,
think of this person because
okay.
some of their, design choices and stuff kind of, yeah.
Hmm. Locally, locally, and this is not my choice. This is just my people. Locally, I have been compared to not Christian. Sorry. What's his name? Rion, Rion Romani.
Okay, I'm
I've
gonna
been
check all these people out. I
I've been
don't.
compared to Rion. I've been
Mhm.
compared to there is a brand called the SS label.
Okay,
I've been compared to her, because I guess because we use prints in our designs,
yeah,
and we have very flowy silhouettes. I guess that's why the comparison is there.
okay,
Um, yeah, those
okay.
those those two that I can think about off my head.
Dene apparently knows
Then they
exactly
know
who Rion
everybody in
is.
fashion.
She knows exactly who it is, and she's in love with this person. So
Yes,
I will
yes, yes.
definitely be checking out some of these names after.
Mm.
Are there any like notable persons who we might know that you have designed for?
But I have so I think you would have to be maybe. So I designed for one of the former um PNM, I think not an MP. She wasn't an MP. A
Counselors?
senator. She was a senator, right? One
Okay.
of the
Okay.
PNM senators I would have designed for her. I saw one of my pieces to former Miss World Trinidad and Tobago Isabel Bisnat.
Wow.
Um, the producers of Mission Catwalk,
Mm-hmm.
she actually wore one of my dresses when I was in Jamaica because she was
Oh
absolutely in
wow.
love with it. And quite a bit of people within the industry in itself. So if I call
Right.
names, you
Right.
may not know who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my
Um.
pieces have been worn by, a few. I'm just waiting for Rihanna and Zendaya to give me a call. But for now, these are the people that wore my all my pieces.
What excites you about creating a new piece?
I think it feels like giving birth to life. It sounds very cliche,
Birth,
right?
birth.
No, but it
Yeah.
sounds cliche, but I think
Yeah.
that's an answer for all creatives. It's such a empowering, sort of prideful experience to know that I designed this,
Yeah.
I made it, and now
Yeah.
I'm sharing it with the world. Like
Yeah. I mean,
y'all,
this come from me.
like this came from up here,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
beyond my soul. And sometimes it is as simple as looking at this mic, and this could be a silhouette,
Yeah.
right? So this is the top area, and this is just cute. Like you can use anything, and I think being a creative and having that creative mindset is
Yeah.
something that is not very. This is what I'm looking for. It's really a treasure thing and something you should value.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm trying to
Cool.
read the comments. Daneda's dressed. Yeah, I agree. Daneda's dressed up all the time. Um, I'm actually
What?
I'm actually collaborating with Dane actually, so I can't wait for you all to
Oh,
see them. I'm actually
this like
styling her for one
currently,
of her.
like now,
Yes,
we gonna get
currently,
something.
Danae and I are in conversations about
Oh
styling her
wow.
for an event. She has a opening, an art open
Wow.
exhibition, and so I'm
That
excited for
I
that.
hope we are going to be invited to the name. We haven't heard much about
Yeah.
that as yet,
So
right?
Danae is going to be in one of my pieces for that launch.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
What is your long-term vision for the Richard Noel brand, um, within the near future, but also what are some plans for later down the road?
Okay, so are we talking about the brand itself? into just fashion and clothes or the holistic
Richard,
brand with everything that I do.
Richard Noel.
Richard
You,
Noel.
the brand.
So
Yeah.
fashion wise, for let's just say 5 years on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 years
Could
on the
be
road.
sooner.
And
Could be sooner. Like 5 years is so far. I feel like 5 years is a long time,
okay, so,
right?
so for now, I am working on new pieces for Porsche collections. I'm also
Right.
working on my new collection, which will be showcased at Style Week 2025, in
Mm-hmm.
collaboration with Christopher Nathan. This
Right.
is a partnership, like I want everybody to come because I am the youngest designer there. I am being featured among some of the tops in Trinidad, some of the top
Yeah.
designers, Peter Elias, Claudia Pegas, Heather
Oh wow.
Jones, and little old me from Valencia, is in the mix.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's the garments that I want to launch out of this social creative entrepreneurship program.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, well, there's the other things that has to happen as well. But those three things I am working on right now.
Okay. Beautiful. And what what is one thing based on your experience so far in the fellowship that you hope it does for you? So I know earlier you said, you're just hoping that it kind of expand the work that you're already doing, but
Mhm.
based on what you've seen so far, we've had these webinars, we've had the we've had the day of lectures from the different social entrepreneurs who've long passed this hurdle that we're about to cross.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then we had the day workshop where things really, the things that we spoke about in practice really came into the action of us creating the social business, the creative business canvases, right?
Uh-huh.
What is one thing you really think you're going to come away with from this experience?
I think just that, like being able to work on our business canvases,
Yeah,
the knowledge of that is crucial, I think, because again, I just have so much ideas. They just come to my head like out of the blue. And being
yeah,
able to structure it into an actual business where you have a business plan.
yeah,
It's not just a thought or not just something
yeah,
you have written on paper. I think that is something that I'm really, really looking forward to completing
yeah,
that. And then the ability to just network and meet other creatives. I think
yeah,
kudos to, I saw Kevon pass in the background, but Kevon, congratulations again on doing this. I think it's something you should be really, really proud of.
yeah.
Just having this space for creatives.
I'm gonna open up the floor because we've been talking a little while now. I
Yeah,
want to
people
open
are
up the
there.
floor for questions. Everyone who's listening, if you have a question for Richard, put it in the comments, and I'm gonna read it out for him so that he could answer them. Anything you want to ask him, mind his business,
Yeah, been
right?
changing. Except my
Feel
personal life.
free.
I tend to keep my personal life private.
And I thought they will come and ask personal questions, but he's setting his boundaries. No personal life
Send your
questions
questions.
unless it relates directly to his work, right? So
Unless you
just a
ask me for my
question
bank account information to send money into it.
or that or that,
That
right?
is also an option as well.
Also, remember, you all could follow Richard, follow
Please.
his social media. Following
So
him means that you support his work because you're gonna get to see the stuff that he's actually doing. Danae is saying here, have you ever thought about getting involved in the carnival industry? For example, I feel like Monday wear designs have been popular during the season.
so to answer, the the meeting I had prior to this was a collaboration I'm working on. Someone outside of Trinidad and Tobago, we're collaborating on a Monday collection. So that is something to look forward to. And I do want to do or design costumes for Carnival 2026. So if you all have the links, because you need the links these days. If you all have the links, you send me it. I would love to design anything fashion wise, creative.
Yeah.
I'm always for it. I'm always for it. So definitely, I don't mind doing any carnival stuff. Okay. Oh, you're reading.
Lisa
You're reading. Go ahead.
asks, how can you fuse your fashion concept with carnival to gain a more all-rounded, year-round, year-long community building creative space?
So we I guess we will be talking about the Monday wear that I'm planning now.
Right.
For me and with the collaboration, we want to do something that isn't just a bikini or a swimwear on the road. We
Yeah.
want to do something that you can use throughout the year. So whether it is you use the swimwear at the beach or you use parts of the elements to style your own wardrobe. So whether or not we use the earrings that we create for
Yeah.
you to have like a show-stopping accessory or something. And I think that is more important for us so that you have pieces to use
Yeah.
throughout the year and you're not just spending money, sometimes $1,200, $1,500 for a piece that you're going to wear once.
Right.
I don't believe in that. I believe in recycling your garments, recycling the
Yeah.
pieces that you already have, and
Yeah.
finding new and innovative ways to, because we want to lead to a sustainable future. Yeah.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
so I think that that part of our collaboration, I think, would make us stand out in the Monday
Yeah.
arena or the carnival arena. The
Yeah. And
versatility of our pieces.
Look out for a message about carnival.
But
Kevin said, look out for a message about carnival. Yeah.
so definitely.
And I think a thing to remember is that I think we as artists feel like space building is a thing that always has to be a physical thing, as in a physical space, but space building is also holding space for creating
Yeah,
opportunities for things to coexist and for things to be sustainable. It doesn't always have to be a physical space, like Eastyard is a physical space,
yeah,
because when you talk about creating something that could be used year round and you're holding space for sustainability, you're holding space for a multi-purpose thing
yeah,
that doesn't get discarded at the end of its 1 year usage, you know?
yeah.
Um, so anyway, I ain't going on rant no more.
Yeah,
Um,
I think. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I just gonna just remind people that we have a few more minutes for questions. My questions have expired, but I have some bonus questions that I would like to
Okay.
ask as well. I always have bonus questions. So any more questions? Let me ask one of my bonus questions. So, what is the go-to fabric that you like to work with?
Oh, anything lightweight. So this is a sort of like a rayon satin.
Mm-hmm.
Because it flows so well. I like fluidity
Yeah.
in my design. So anything lightweight. Chiffon, Georgette, rayon, um, silk. There's just so much. But once it's lightweight and it can blow in the
Yeah.
wind,
Yeah. And
I
again,
like working with things like
I
that.
don't,
Is
I don't,
there
we don't even know the names
someone?
of these things. We know silk, but we don't know the rest. We just
Yes, yes,
know that
see?
the clothes look
So
good, and that's all we need to know.
the next time we meet in person again, if we're having another in-person session, I'd work with like different sample of fabrics and you guys will get to see.
Amen. I would appreciate that so much, you know. Maybe
There's
that
a
would help me
question
up
about the
my
beyond blue. There's another question. Is there anyone abroad that you wish to collaborate to take it to the world?
to the world.
Oh, I would love. I mean, this might be a stretch, but I would love to work with the United Nations
Mm-hmm.
to spread the message about it. Because I feel like when you hear gender equality, oftentimes you think of a woman speaking
Right.
because it's such a taboo topic, and when you hear gender, you always think like females. That I
Right.
don't know. I don't know why is the misconception with that. And so when men talk about gender equality, it's often seen very taboo. Like, why are you talking about that? You know.
Yeah.
So being
Yeah.
able to collaborate with the United Nations, I feel like it showcases that we as men can come together to make a difference
Right.
in terms of reaching that goal of gender equality for all. you know.
Yeah. What's one word that you would use to describe your personal style?
Someone told me I'm eclectic. I like to believe hmm. Oh wow, that's a tough question.
That really easy though.
No,
That's not.
I think so. So for one, I love urban fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of like streetwear,
Love
but
it.
without it being so rugged and a rip up and like
Mm-hmm.
dismantle and kind of vagrant looking.
Oh,
No. I don't mean. And let's be real. Some of them must be looking a little vagrant-ish.
I have no comment, none. Really
But
good.
I believe that I try to tie in the urban side of myself
Right.
with the more refined Richard Noel. So if you go on the Richard Noel Instagram, my business account,
Mm-hmm.
you would see so much of polished stuff like there's the photos and everything is just so feminine and graceful.
Yeah.
But when you go on my personal account, it's like totally different. It's
Right.
like they don't even mesh. It's like oil and water.
Right. Right.
So now I'm learning to find a lot of polished ways to do urban, but still have a bit of the Richard Noel flair in that.
Beautiful. Um, my last question is, what is your go-to song on your playlist right now?
Okay, I don't have a song, but I have an album, and I'm trying to convince people to listen to our album, and I get a lot of pushback. But if anybody on this live want to go ahead and join me in that, Black Sheriff Iron
Uh,
Man album is
uh-huh.
out of this world. I'm encouraging you to go and listen to it as well. The lyrical, I mean, it's
Um,
Afro beats. So I love Afro beats, right? And a lot of people think Afro beats is noise. But if you listen to the lyrics or you go online and you research the lyrics for these songs, these
mm-hmm.
people oftentimes tell so many impactful stories.
15 songs. I will try it.
Okay, let me tell you the ones to listen to. So Sacrifice,
Uh-huh.
Sacrifice is one.
Uh-huh.
Victory is another one.
Uh-huh.
Eyes Open, I think is a good one as well.
Uh-huh.
Um, for now, that's the top three.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
for now, look, listen to those top three and tell me how you feel about
All right.
those particular type of songs.
I will do that. I will do that. I will give it a listen and we will see. I'm not a big Afrobeat um person. I like some of the instrumentals that mixed with like
Right.
jazz. So like
Mhm.
crossover, like Afrobeats with like jazz or Afrobeats with like a kind of lo-fi
I think
feel.
I think Afrobeats make everything else sound so good. Afrobeats makes adds a different flavor to soca. Afrobeats adds a different flavor to R&B music. Afrobeats is the thing. Afrobeats is like salt.
Oh, too
You know?
hilarious. Too
Afrobeats is salt.
hilarious.
But Sacrifice, I think, is one of my favorites because it talks about um in this song he's singing about all the aspirations he has.
Yeah.
And he would literally risk it all, like risk
Yeah.
everything to get to that end goal.
Yeah.
But people just see him as this ordinary guy. So, like I'm just that guy, just the
Yeah.
guy from Valencia
Yeah.
with all of these big dreams and aspirations. But I would literally sacrifice all of that to accomplish my goals.
Okay. I agree.
And so this is the kind of context you get from that album.
Yeah. Okay. So you feel it on a
On a
personal
deeper
level.
level,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that what music is about. It's just about gyrating and doing big people things to the music. Actually, it's about it's about finding a message and letting it inspire you and
Yeah.
take you through the day and stuff like that.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. But I
Okay,
mean that
I
is
would stop because I feel like if we continue this live, it will go on for like 5 hours.
no. We can't go on for 5 hours. We can't do that. But
So
that is the
you wrap
last
up.
of my questions. So
Okay.
I would love to see if anybody else have any other questions. If not, I
I
think this
think
would be a good place
someone
to
was
stop.
saying if you ever looking for a young and hot model, 40s and over, Sure. Sure. So I don't think it's in my board, but on my board there's a note for a collection that is catered to empowering women, like
Mm-hmm.
35 and over. Because I
Yeah.
feel like the fashion industry caters so much to the young girls and the ones who looking sexy and thing. But we have women who over 35 who keep themselves well and who still
Yeah.
want to dress up and look fabulous. So I do plan on doing a collection strictly for that niche
Yeah, I
sometime in
mean,
the future.
I think that I would probably maybe get into fashion when I like high fashion type of vibes when I get a little older. Yeah, I would love to
You
have
had on like
somebody
a orange high
orange.
waisted pants with a crop jacket, and there was
Oh
like
yeah,
a painting.
that was my design. Let
I
me
would
just
wear
tell
that
you
too.
all. Let me just tell you all. I'm not a fashion designer, but I designed that.
Right,
So
and I would absolutely wear that. I would put on something like that and go out because that is so cool. The because it's giving kind of like construction worker. So
that
that's the
was
urban side of it, but it's very
yeah,
fashionable. And then you collaborated with Jonathan to do the
yeah,
artwork.
the painting piece,
So
yeah.
it's fashion, it's art, it's design, it's just so much in one, and I absolutely love that. So yeah, I can't wait to see more from you, and probably I can wear one of your pieces. Like,
Don't gas me up now, gosh. Don't gas me. Don't gas me. Don't gas me. I'm a Leo, so you know.
yeah, yeah,
But Richard, I mean, this it was a great conversation with you today. I think we learned a lot about who Richard is, but more than that, what are Richard's motivations for
thank
what
you,
he's
thank you.
doing and where he sees, where you see yourself in the near future. And I myself am looking forward to seeing um what you create next.
Yeah.
Maybe there is room to collaborate with you as well. I always looking for something to wear for a performance. Um, and I personally have kind of gravitated, or I've also started more gravitating towards having pieces made for me, because I think the thing about fashion design and being an artist is when you create something, most times it's like a one of one, right? That
Yeah.
suit that I made, that's one of one. That doesn't exist anywhere else, and it won't exist anywhere else. And I
And then you
think,
took it up a notch by adding that artwork on it.
yeah,
So just that element alone,
yeah.
you can't pull a price for that. That's art.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
So, I look forward to us collaborating and seeing what you make with other people. The dress that the piece that you're gonna make with Danae, and I'm sure by the end of this fellowship, you would have made some connections and created a really, really good, inspiring work out of it. So, there's a lot to stay tuned for, people. There is a lot to follow Richard to
And
see
you all
what he
heard Kevin in the
does.
background talk about Carnival 2026, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
everybody on this line, we holding Kevin accountable to have Richard Noel on
yeah.
the road Carnival Monday and Tuesday.
Correct, correct. And we want to see some of y'all, Danae in Richard's Monday wear, and come on,
Yeah.
we have to
Thank
support
you,
each
thank
other.
you.
So thank you everybody for coming on the live, for listening, for sticking around, for asking questions. Richard, thanks for coming on and
Thank
just
you, Ali. Thank you,
holding a
Dine, for all
vibe
the
with us.
questions.
We
Yeah,
outside,
we
yeah, we outside for
outside.
20. I'm not a
See,
carnival person, huh? Let me just
we
tell
go
you, I'm
fellowship. I
not re-
I
not
am not
really.
a carnival person either. Honestly. But I love the arts, I love culture, and so
Yeah,
being there, even if we had a stand up on the side of the road and watch,
yeah.
you
That's
know,
the
that,
part of carnival I like. I like the art and the
yeah.
exhibition of our art. So,
Love you
so
too,
yeah.
Ali.
Ali
I
said
just read
thanks
in
for being
comments
here.
why, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Danae, thanks for
yeah.
being here. We still have 8 people here. That's amazing. Everybody enjoy your afternoon. The next live is going to be next week, Thursday. I think that's going to be Kieran, unless we get somebody to jump on with us before. So yeah, thank you, Richard. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much, and I can't wait to continue along and see you soon.
Yeah,
Take care.
yeah.
Come on.
Enjoy.
Have a great
Bye
day,
bye.
everyone. Bye.